Hi guys, it's Kelly and I'm back again with another video. Today I'm going to be using the Love Showers Layers die, the Cocoa and Cookies stamp set, the Wood Planks stamp set. These are all W+9, by the way. Hello and Thanks. It's got some beautiful little florals in there, though I didn't use them. And then the Summer Citrus. So I'm doing this card. Oh, I'm also going to show you the milk and cookies because I thought the little milk jug would be super cute as like a creamer. And here you can see kind of like the scene I have stamped out here. I ended up changing the lemon and then I left the creamer off. It just made my countertop seem very busy. And I wanted to give that window a little bit of breathing room. So I'm just going to basically walk you through everything from beginning to end. We're going to spend a lot of time talking about this window, since that's what I kind of wanted to teach you about. And then story time towards the end, which we'll clearly have time for because this video is so long. So settle in, pop your popcorn, get your wine or your coffee or whatever it is that you do, because we're going to be here hanging out together for a minute. So these are all masks that I have cut with Eclipse masking tape. And I'm using this to lay out my scene. I find that this is the best way to make sure that I can get everything where I want it. I did make scenes back in the day before Misty's or, what was the original stamp positioner? It was just like called a stamp positioner. I think it had the acrylic sheet and the little like L that you lined it up with, but I never used that. I always just eyeballed my scenes and stamped them out and then, crossed my fingers that they came out okay. But this I find is much better approach to making sure that you get everything where you want it, because then you can just line your stamps up on top of your masks, pick it up with the Misty door, and it's exactly where you want it to be. This is me checking for that milk jug, like for creamer, and I'm like, not definitely too busy, needs to breathe a little bit, and then we're going to get into the stamping. I will recommend that you actually put your magnets down beforehand, because I always forget. I always forget when I'm doing it, because I get so excited about the scene, and then I go to pick them up, and I end up moving my paper, and then I got to start all over again, because I didn't put them down to begin with. Also, I have on darker nail polish here. It's actually this really pretty, hold on, let me look and see what the name of it was, because I saw it in the store, and I was like, I need that in my life. It's Purple Crush by Orly, and I am in love with it. It's such a fun summer color. But anywho, when you're doing a one layer scene, you want to stamp everything in the front first. So this lemon will be in front of the orange and the pineapple. It gets stamped first. This little lemon slice will be in front of the saucer and the teacup. So it gets stamped first. And then as I go through, I'm going to mask those things and then stamp towards the back. So the things that you want in the background, you want to see the least of, those you will stamp last. Just going to keep moving those masks kind of back and forth as we go through. This is actually for the Coffee Lovers blog hop. They do them seasonally. I think they used to do 4, like they used to do spring, summer, winter, fall, and then they turned it into like a challenge blog or something, which is awesome. And now they combine them. So this is like the spring, summer hop. And I used to participate in this all the time, because I love coffee. You guys know I'm a coffee lover. I love coffee. We're going to talk about coffee later on during story time. But anywho, but I always forget. I always miss the hop. And so this time I actually had to I marked it on my calendar when the hop started so that I would know to make a card for it so I could participate in it. I just love the whole idea behind it, and I think that the way that they do it with like the link tool and you can see everybody's beautiful cards and go support each other, I really love that. And there's a huge ton of bunch of giveaways and stuff, so go over there and check that out. Today is the last day of the hop, just FYI on that. The reason that I am not getting this up until the last day is because, so I made this card 4 days ago, but for the last 2 days, my allergies have been out of control. And they're still actually not great right now, but because today is the last day of the hop, like I gotta risk it. So I will have the video up. But yeah, so basically the premise of this was I made a card for National Tea Day. Do you remember that one? I didn't like it, and then I went back and fixed it. So that was When was that? That was on Easter. National Tea Day was also Easter. How about that? And so when I did it, I had this whole idea for a window in the background and like a staircase off to the right-hand side. And that didn't come to fruition because of the way that I did the card the first time around. And so I still really wanted to try the whole window premise. And so here we are today with putting this window in the background of the countertop, talking about some strong shadows. Here, this is the same thing I did for the teacup. I just trim out the middle, and yes, that means I have to cut up one of the sides, but it's okay because it'll lay flat. Here, everything is masked. These little wood planks are newer release from W+9. There's 2 of them in the set. There's this one. I'm using warm wool ink from W+9. This one is more of just a general wood grain. The other one looks like kind of individual planks. I can do wood grain with my Copic markers, but I really love the way that this looks and how easy it is. I didn't have to spend a lot of time trying to do the wood grain in the background. I could just stamp it. Also, this will make wonderful, very subtle backgrounds, and I'm super excited to use it for that. So now I'm removing all of the masks, and then I'm going to start in on this window. Repurpose your dies, people. They're a lot of money. Find different ways to use them. In this particular instance, I really wanted to do a rounded window, but I was not confident in my ability to freehand draw that. And I don't have to because I own this tag die. So I'm going to trace the outside of the die with a pencil. Then I have a tag that I have cut because they're always slightly smaller than the dies. I'm going to lay that down and then I'm going to trace the outside edge of that. That will give me like the woodwork frame for around the window. Now, you could just make this one large window. I really wanted to do like the individual panes that you typically see. Here, my pencil skipped, so I had to go back. So I've marked the center of the window with my T-square ruler, and then I'm just going to go in and mark halfway. So basically like every quarter, there'll be 4 sections. And I just Googled archway windows to kind of see what they looked like to make sure that I got my spacing correct. And now I'm just going to go in. I'm doing everything with pencil first, just because I've already done all my stamping. I'm not trying to ruin this card by going in with a marker right out the gate. So now I've gotten my 4 like panels here, and then I'm gonna pick wherever I want the beginning of the square panels to start. I'm gonna move this up a little bit, and I'm using my T-square ruler, but I'm also using my grid mat in the background to make sure that everything is straight. And then I'm just gonna start drawing the lines so that they are squares. Are they perfect squares? Probably not. Will anybody notice? Probably not. So I drew all of those so that there's 4 squares. And then I'm going to do the archway part of it, like the arch where the little panes will meet there. This was probably the most difficult part because it is a little bit of freehanding, but I found that having the middle lines already there, so the lines that are coming straight up and then the line that's in the center, made it much easier for me to only have to draw like half of it at a time. And I found that to be much easier than just doing it in one fell swoop. But you do whatever's easiest for you. In order to get my placement correct for the ones on the outside, I am lining it up with the middle, where the middle top of the square ones. And then I'm just going to mark where I made the line so that that's even, so that both of the little triangle pieces come out to the same area. And then it's done. Well, no, I'm going to finagle with this thing a little bit more, I guess. But so now it's all done in pencil. I am going to go back in with a Copic Safe pen. For me, I like the EK Success journaling pens, and I'm going to do everything the exact same way, just permanently now. I like having the pencil lines. It's like a little safety net for me. If you don't feel like you need them and you just want to go for it, that's okay too. I turned this one into a window, but you certainly don't have to. There's a ton of different ways that you can use the shapes that are on your dies without die cutting in your background scenes. So here I'm showing you all of the colors I'm going to use for the countertop. I just kind of wanted I guess like a lighter, cooler wood. And I'm just going to fill in the whole thing with this E42. That's my lightest color. You can still see the wood grain through it. And then I'm going to move on to the rest of the background. I'm not going to do my shadows until the very end, once I have my window and everything done. When I was picking my wall paint color, I was trying to pick something that was going to be complementary. I knew I was going to have some yellows and oranges. I learned my lesson from the last card about just leaving my mugs white when I have a lot going on in a scene. And so I went with an R20. It was like a peachy pink. I thought that that would be very complementary to the countertop and then the blue window. And when I'm covering large surface areas, typically I'm going to go over it once or twice. For this one, I'm moving it all of the same direction so that it doesn't, like, I guess, so it looks like it's more painted on. I will have buyer's remorse about this color. Let me just go ahead and tell you that. I should have went with like an R00 versus an R20. It would have been lighter. I think I would have liked that more, but I didn't do that. But I am going to show you how I lightened it up a little bit once we get there. For the window, I opted to shade all of my panes individually. So you'll see, basically, I typically color as if my light source is in the top right hand corner. This window is going to give me my light source, but when I'm shading it, I'm still using that same kind of theory. I immediately gravitate toward the bottom left hand side, and then I just added a little bit of shading to the top right. This is going to give me a diagonal highlight in the panes of glass. So I started with my lightest color, which is B0000. And then for the rounded ones, I just added shading kind of to the left and right hand sides so that the highlights would be in the center. You can see this color when you're looking at it on camera. It doesn't photograph great, but if you're giving your card to a person in real life, you don't have to worry about that. I am going to add a little bit more dimension. I wanted it to be a little bit more blue. So I'm going in with a B00, going right over the top of everything I already have down there. And then my darkest color, I showed you a B02, but I didn't use it. I went out to the B01 and then just added very little of this into each corner. I'm going to color it the same way I do everything else, from lightest to darkest to darkest to lightest. I just didn't want to bore you to death by watching this 800 times because this window is quite large. So just going back over those very quickly, and then that B00 will blend everything out. I did leave some white area in the middle, just so you're aware. It's not all colored in blue. There is some white in the middle. And I was pretty happy with the way it looked. I thought that it looked window-ish, and that was good enough for me. And then we'll work on the rest of the Copic coloring. But just wanted to give you an idea about how I did my windows, and also about, stretching those dies because they are pretty pricey. So I did learn my lesson about leaving my dishes white if I have a busy scene going on. The one card I tried to add a floral pattern to it, and it did not work out in my favor. So I opted just to leave these white and let the focal point be the window and add just little accent colors. I am coloring these white. I know it's going to look gray, but it's because it really doesn't have any other colors next to it. So just trust me, bear with me. It's going to look dark. It won't look dark in the end. In the end, it'll look white and like we just put the shadows in, which is the whole purpose. Okay. With that said, so Monday, I went to, back during Christmas, Eric is a huge Indians fan, and so part of his Christmas gifts was I bought him Indians tickets. But I'm one of those people, and it's not because I'm like super picky or I'm like bougie, but I'm afraid of heights. Like, I am deathly afraid of heights. I have like full-blown panic attacks, and I know it's irrational, but I cannot... I can't do it. Like, I can't control like the physical effect that it has on my body. I just can't. So when I bought the tickets, I Googled, like best ticket, like where, like best seats for a baseball game. And they said right on the third baseline. So that's what I went looking for. And, turns out they were correct because we had great seats. But I can't sit up high. I cannot. For my first wedding anniversary, your first wedding anniversary is paper. I bought my ex-husband Browns tickets. And I was smart enough because I don't like football at all. Baseball I do like. I don't like football at all. But then I contacted his best friend and at the time his girlfriend and was like, hey, I'm going to buy Craig tickets to the Browns game. Do you guys want to go? So at least I'll have somebody to talk football with. And but we sat way up high. And that was when I learned in a stadium, I can't do it. And he was very sweet, and he offered to go sit like in the restaurant area and watch the game on the TV, and I was like, absolutely not. We paid for these tickets. I'm suck it up, Sally. But I spent the majority of the game pretty much with my head behind his shoulder because every time I tried to look at the field, I was like panic stricken. Luckily, let's just comment on this little color that's on my YO2 here. My child decided that he was going to take a red marker and draw on the back of some of my other markers, but I didn't really realize it until I was here showing you the actual markers I was using, and so I will clean them up at some point, or I won't. I'm not really sure. Honestly, if I think about it, yes. If I don't think about it, no. I'm just busy. So you'll see another marker that has that on it at some point. But yeah, but I bought the Indians tickets and I bought them low enough so that I would be able to also enjoy the game. And it was a really good time, and they were great seats. If you follow me on Instagram, you probably already, like, I showed the view and stuff that we had. But anyway, very quickly coloring this lemon. I'm coloring both of them. I kind of wish I would have stamped them in different places because I don't really have a visual triangle of colors. I more have I have a line of colors. But I am going to add a little bit of shading on the top, most of my shading on the bottom, and with just a little, the highlight more towards the top. Honestly, the little lemon on the left probably wouldn't have any highlight because the color's coming from behind it and all of these things would be backlit, but I didn't want to color it like that. So we're going to pretend we have a secondary light source so I don't have to make everything super dark. Okay. So anyway, Eric, came over and cut my grass for me Monday morning, which was awesome. It's super nice. And then there's that other marker, told you. Then it didn't make any sense for him to go home, shower, and drive back out here. So I went to his place and got ready there. And I did not think about, this is a funny boy thing. I didn't think about packing like shampoo and stuff. You know what I mean? I just grabbed like my blow dryer, curling iron, change of clothes, that kind of thing. And my brushes. I didn't really think about having to pack like soap and things like that. But apparently boys pretty much just use, I did it like kind of like a poll at work to see if it was just him. It's not. They use the shampoo conditioner combo. There's no conditioner in that, people. Okay, let me just go ahead and tell you. I don't know. Maybe it's because they don't. Eric shaves his head, so you probably don't notice at all. But there's no conditioner in that. Like, I got out of the shower and I was trying to brush out my hair, and I was like, why does it feel like I rubbed my hair backwards with sandpaper? Why? But it did, I will give it this, it did hold curl all night that night, so I don't know, maybe because it was not as soft as it usually is. Not really sure. But anyway, we got ready. We stopped and got something to eat, and then we went down to the game. We had beautiful weather. It was well into the 70s, no rain, praise Jesus, hallelujah, because I was a little bit worried about that. It did get chilly after the sun went down, but I mean, nothing more than like a sweatshirt. It was really, really nice. So apparently Eric has tradition when he goes down there, he has to get nachos. He's like, do you have anything you have to do? And I was like, listen, I haven't been to a baseball game since I was 13, and Kenny Lofton was playing. Like, I don't have any traditions at all because I haven't been there. Yeah, that's how long. Wow, it's been a long time. But so we get down there and we're watching the game. I'm like, when is nacho time? And he was like, about the 6th inning. And I'm like, okay. So eventually he's like, do you want anything? And I was like, I want something sweet. Like, do they have, like, where can I find something sweet? And he's like, oh, I'm sure that they have something. Guess what, people? They don't. They don't have anything. They have ice cream, but I was already cold. And they have Cracker Jacks, which is what ultimately I ended up getting. But I was like, are there no Like, I don't know, for some reason I thought like at a baseball game it would be like a fair. Like there would be lemonade and elephant ears and funnel cakes and things like that. And why aren't there? Like that is the question. Why does that not exist at the baseball game? So I need somebody who has some money, because I don't have any, to basically go start this thing, make this a trend, because I really think that you would make a lot of money at it, because all I really wanted was something sweet and a cup of coffee. And I could find neither. If I wanted a hot dog and beer, I was all set, but I didn't want those things. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm the only person who wants that at a baseball game, but I don't think so. I don't think I'm the only one. I think other people would eat those things. Anyway, back to the shadows real quick. So I find it easier when I'm drawing the shadows, even though they're going to all blend into each other, if I draw the shadows for each individual shape, one at a time. So you'll see me drawing like the general shape of the lemon, general shape of the teacup, things like that, and then drawing the next shadow on top of that. These are pretty simple because the light source is directly in front of them, so their shadows will be directly back behind them. And I forgot the pineapple. So I have to go back in and add that because the pineapple would cast that shadow. But before I do that, before I realize I didn't do that, I should say, I'm going to go in with this E47 and add a little bit of a darker shadow closer to my objects. Here's where I realized I forgot the pineapple. Because the shadows would be darkest closer to the objects. They get lighter as they get further away. So once I'm done putting down that darker area, I'm just going to blend it back out with this E47 again. And we'll go over the lightest parts one more time with the E42, just so it wasn't as light. In real life, in the photos, you'll be able to see, you can still see that wood grain that I stamped down originally, which I'm super happy about. Here's how I'm fixing that paint color. I'm going in and with my colorless blender. This is kind of risky business, I'm going to be honest with you, because if you put down too much colorless blender, it can bleed into the other areas that you have colored. But I was just very careful about how close I got to it. And I went over this twice to lighten up that color. And I was happier with the way that looked. I just felt like ultimately it was too dark. I'm going to use the same browns for the countertop, for this window frame. And I'm not going to do a whole lot of shading. I'm just going to fill it in with the E42. I really wish I kind of would have moved that mug over, so that like the line wasn't directly next to the mug. I think it looks weird. I'm going back in with the original color, that R20, to give this window a little bit of shadow, so that it looks like it's coming off from the wall, which was kind of nice because I didn't have to find another color to do that. And then I'm going to add this E44 just coming up from the bottom of the frame, and then also around the rounded areas. That would be, well, you know what? Now that I think about it, the rounded areas might be lighter. They might catch more light because they're round. Whatever, that's not how I colored it. But I don't think it looks bad, so I think that that's okay. And then I'm just going to blend that back out with the E42, and I'm going to call it a day. I felt like it looked weird that my mugs were empty, so I'm just going back in with one of the warmer browns I used for the pineapple and just doing a little line of color into my coffee mug and my teacup. I'm going to, you can see when I stamped down the fruit, they have these little decorative spots on them that I think are really charming, but I didn't want them to be black. So I'm just going directly over top of them with a white gel pen so that they blend in a little bit more to the scene. And then I'm also going to do a couple of little lines in each one of these white areas on the window pane, so that there is some, genuine white there. The other thing that you can do is go over those black lines so that it looks like the light is, like shining in from the whole window. I am going to outline this, but I'm not going to do the window again. I'm using a thicker liner to give these a little bit more weight so that the front part of it looks as if it is sitting in front. So I used a 0.35 for that. Now I am stamping the sentiment. It took me a minute to kind of figure out what I wanted to put on there, but I actually used it from the Hello and Thanks set, which says, hello, you're kind of the best ever, because coffee kind of is the best ever, and I really wish they sold it at baseball games, but they don't. So I'll just have to keep that in mind because we are going to another game. We are taking Peanut at the end of next month. So I'm super excited. That'll be his first baseball game. So with the sentiment stamped, I'm just going to add a little bit of glitter to my window and then kind of anywhere that the light would touch, like where there would be a highlight, and then that's it. That's the whole card. So thank you guys so much for joining me. Make sure you head over and head out, check out that hop. Lots of really cool things over there, and I will catch you guys on the next video. Bye.